Alright everyone, you clicked on this video to see my preliminary final tips and predictions, and that's exactly what you're going to get in this video. Now I'll quickly address, I know I haven't really been posting as much over the last week. The last video before this one was last week, which was the semi-finals tips, which isn't really how it normally is for myself, but I do have a couple of videos coming out soon. I have spent a bit of that time though working on another video which should be out very soon, so just stay tuned for that. Now if you guys remember last week, I got you guys to predict your tips and margin for a little bit of a mini winner and margin comp for the games in the semi-finals, and we had a few people getting the predictions right for a couple of the games. None of them got it right altogether. We had 6 people guessing Carlton by 2 correctly, and we had 1 person guessing the Giants by 23 correctly, which was probably a more respectable effort given the fact that, well, let's be real, I mean, that would have been the more difficult prediction to guess. And we also had another person that guessed the correct margin, Carlton by 2, but also got Giants by 25, only 2 points off the correct margin. So probably out of all the tipsters, he probably did the best from the semi-finals. But again, we're going to do it again for the prelims, and I'm going to give away a prize this time around considering we're heading into the grand final, so the stakes are a little bit higher. So as I did last week, put your predictions down below for the Brisbane v Carlton game and the Collingwood v GWS game. Now let's quickly review my tipping comp before we get into anything. Just really quickly, I know it's normally at the end of the video, but you know, we'll go through it really quickly now. And Bailey and B. Freedom were the only 2 people to guess a perfect score and a perfect margin. And given the fact that it was only the 2 games, it doesn't surprise me with all the people that did get a perfect score. In fact, so many people, there's no point in checking. With only 3 more games to go, it's between probably just 2 people, to be honest with you. Saskatoon and Oscar Toochtan didn't score anything, yet they're still in the top 2. And there are a few people on 153, but I think it's Saskatoon that's going to get the win, to be honest with you. Just tip the favourites and you're probably done. Now, last week, I tipped a score of 1 out of 2, which doesn't sound so great, but the fact that there were 2 upsets makes, you know, the tip not seem as bad. I was in the top 16% as well. Obviously, I tipped the Demons by, I think it was 14 points, and I tipped the Giants as well. Now, if we go through the 2 games real quickly, Melbourne v Carlton, definitely the pick of the bunch, and probably the best semi-final we've witnessed in at least a few years. To be honest with you, probably Melbourne should have won again like last week with their inaccuracy late and a lot of their chances that they wasted and a lot of their, you know, big moments that they didn't get quite right, I felt, in the last minute or 2, which Carlton certainly did. Again, Blake Acres, the hero. Tom De Koning, what a game he had, as Robbie Williams said in his song that he did. But yeah, obviously the Blues, you know, did enough to get the win. Melbourne fans, Melbourne players, they'll be loathing that performance. They won't be happy at all, and it's another straight sets departure. I do sort of feel bad for the Melbourne fans. And the second game on the Saturday, Port v the Giants, another game I streamed, and this was not as surprising a result as, you know, some might be suggesting. I really did think that the Giants would actually come out here and win this game. I didn't think Port Adelaide were the most trustworthy side, not in the finals, that's for sure, and just sort of the form heading into this game wasn't really great. They haven't really had heaps of continuity, a lot of injuries heading into the final series. Just didn't really time their run the greatest. And although the first quarter was pretty even, pretty fierce, pretty difficult one to predict who was going to get up after the first term, yeah, it all sort of went downhill from there for the Power, especially that second quarter is what killed them. Their midfield, one of the most dangerous in the competition. Going to be a real scary threat for the Pies, that is for sure. But it's not even just their midfield, the defence, their four-line, clicking at the moment. Like, really, they're clicking. And it's a side that wouldn't shock me if they went all the way at grand final, maybe even the premiership. With the form that they're in, they're one of the best sides of the competition, if not the side in the best form. And another thing as well to add, you know, first time since 2014, I think only the second time, at least with this format of the finals, where 2 teams departed in straight sets. Also, quickly, my big calls, I don't mean as much, I just sort of want to go through them. I said Petrarch would kick 4 and Melbourne v Carlton. He only kicked the 1. Actually, I think I did say in the video, if he didn't kick like 3 or 4 goals, I wouldn't win it. And again, forward line struggle for Melbourne. And I said in Port v the Giants that the Giants be up by 30 or more at any stage of the game. And not a bad one to get, to be honest with you, because I doubt many would have believed that would have ended up happening, but it did in that second quarter. So 1 out of 2 again for the big calls. I'll still go through them throughout the preliminary finals as we go through them now with the 2 games. Starting on the Friday night, Collingwood take on the Giants at the MCG. Now this game I will be streaming, so if you want to hop on the stream, make sure to do so. I'll be doing it from my hotel up in Queensland since I'll be going to the Brisbane v Carlton game. I'm really excited for that one. Look, it's going to be actually a real danger game for Collingwood. I know Collingwood probably have been the benchmark side all season, but you know, I feel like in the last few weeks, form has started to slip up a little bit with obviously a good win against Melbourne. They don't want to take this one very easily, I don't think, because the Giants here, they're heading into this final series and the following games in tremendous form. They obviously took control of Port Adelaide after quarter time, really just smashing them in the midfield. You know, a lot of Port Adelaide's big name players at half time barely had any of the ball. Butters, Rosie, Horn Francis, I thought they just didn't do enough for them, and after halftime. They meant a bit of a challenge, but the Giants probably could have had that game won earlier if they were a bit more accurate. I know Port were accurate in their last quarter, but Giants was probably a 5-goal better side. Toby Green, I wonder who the Pies are going to put into Toby Green, because if they don't stop Toby Green, I actually think the Giants win this game. I really do. I think he's that important of a player, but the Giants don't rely on just the one player. They don't just rely on Toby Green. Obviously, they've got heaps of stars in the midfield. Whitfield, Kelly, Cornelio, all in some really good form down back. I think Connor Iden's been very underrated as of late. Isaac Cumming, Sam Taylor obviously as well. Kieran Briggs is going to be a big interesting factor as well, because he obviously went down with a shoulder injury and still played out the remainder of the game, but he probably might not be his best if he does end up playing against the Pies this week. And obviously the Pies have a big key in, which is obviously Nick Dacos. However, Taylor Adams is now going to be out, so I wouldn't say it cancels out out. Nick Dacos, obviously the more damaging player, but coming back after being out for 6 weeks from injury, he might not be at his very best, which could actually be a bit of an issue for the Pies, especially if they're getting smashed around the middle. But I have a feeling the Pies, will be a bit more accountable. They'll be much more accountable defensively, and they sort of have to be, because Port Adelaide, and again, St Kilda the week before, they just gave the Giants too much space in the middle, too much space up forward. A lot of easy targets the Giants had, and I'm not too sure why the Power weren't manning up and weren't as accountable. I think the Pies are going to be a lot more accountable. They made it really difficult for Melbourne in the first final, and I think they're going to make it difficult for the Giants. More difficult than it's been ever for the Giants this final series to score. I just think Collingwood's fans, they'll start the Collingwood chant early if they get onto a bit of a roll, and I think maybe a second or third caller for Collingwood wins them the game. I think the Giants certainly be really, really tied up in this one. They'll be, fighting till the very last siren. But I'm going to go the Pies just because I think they should make a grand final from this position. And I just don't see the fairy tale happening for the Giants as much as they've been really good and deserving of doing so. So my first game, I'm tipping the Pies to win it by 16 points. I think my big call, Pies kick 6 or more consecutive goals in a row, and I just have a feeling it might happen in that second or third quarter. We'll see. Next game we've got at the Gabba, Saturday, 5:15 p.m, Brisbane v Carlton. Now, they always have these games on a twilight fixture for some reason. I think it is this time around because of the fixturing scheduling as well with the Brisbane Broncos game. But obviously, this is another intriguing fixture. 2 prelim finals that no one really expected to be ever a possible scenario of happening, given where Carlton and the Giants were midway through the season. But, this one's one where I wouldn't say a free hit for Carlton, but I think they have much less pressure bearing on them than Brisbane do, given the fact that they've had so many chances that Brisbane to go through to a grand final. And I still think undoubtedly this is the best one at doing so. They've had the week off, they've got fresh legs. They haven't really got any excuses against the Carlton side that are probably going to be even more battered up heading into this one. Although, to be fair, they'll have players coming in. Martin off the suspension. Mackay should come back in. So, there might be a few headaches for Michael Voss and the selection team ahead of this game. That's for sure. But, you probably expect those 2 players to come back in. Doherty, one of those players who would be banged up heading into this one, but he's a warrior. He'll certainly be playing. And, speaking of warriors, Sam Walsh, how good was he last week with 34 and 2 goals? Even Blake Acres kicked the winner. He was also with a bit of an injury as well. So I think this is going to be a really intriguing battle. You'd expect Brisbane certainly to have the upper edge. Obviously, the strong favourites. And a lot of people might expect this one to be like a reality check in a way for the Blues if the Lions are on early. And I'm afraid that could be the case. I hope it isn't. Carlton right now, they just keep winning games. They keep finding a way. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Lions had a really stinker of a game in terms of their chances, sort of like other sides the Blues have played. And Carlton are just on, and they find a way to work things out and possibly pinch a win. I actually think the Blues can keep it under a couple of goals and make it a close one. I think Charlie Curnow, he's been a bit quiet the first 2 final series. To be honest with you, if they want to win this game, the Blues, he has to kick at least 4 or 5. He's got to be a big target because we all know Brisbane, the class that they have up forward, will make it tough for Carlton's defenders. But I think this is going to be a really good game, a real shot for any of these 2 sides to make it. Ultimately, it's at the Gabba. Brisbane haven't dropped a game there. I'm not brave enough to go the upset. I kind of do want the upset to happen. Imagine a Carlton v Collingwood grand final, but I think the Lions will hold on by 7 points in a classic of a game at the Gabba. Should be a good contest, I reckon, a close game of footy. But the Lions by 7 with my tip, and my big call though, Charlie Curnow kicks 5 more goals. So my tips there were Collingwood and Brisbane. Yeah, they might be the 2 boring selections, but ultimately, those are the 2 teams that I think will win, and these are probably the 2 most deserving sides all year. Like, consistently, they probably deserve to both be in it. Now, I know, as I said since the start of the video, I apologise for not really getting a video out in a while, but, that video that I had in mind, I won't say what it is. will be out soon, as well as some other finals content like the Goal King Challenge next week, the Brisbane Carlton vlog, obviously the grand final tips next week, as well as a few live streams. So there'll still be some finals, heaps of finals content coming really soon. I just have a few in the works. Again, hopefully enjoyed the video. Drop your predictions like last week for the both games, and we'll see you very soon in the next one.